7 p.m., September 20th, 2023. This posted meeting of the Hanson Conservation Commission is now called to order. And the meeting is open under the State Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Hanson Local Bylaw, Article 3-13, Section 5. This opening statement will apply to the business conducted at this meeting. As per standard procedure, this meeting is being audio recorded for our records. May we have our roll call, please?
Steve Smith. Ed Hill. TJ Roby. Dave Mansfield.
Bill Clemens.
Lon Woodward.
Frank Scallinger.
We have all of our commissioners and all of our staff present. Therefore, we will commence with our meeting. The first thing that has a time associated with it, there is a set of 3 hearings that are being treated as one for Lakeside Road. It's my understanding that the applicant has requested a continuance. If that's correct, do we have a date and time in mind for our notes?
October 4th is the next meeting.
Our next meeting, October 4th,
Could do 7
p.m.
Okay.
So that meeting is continued to, that hearing is continued to October 4th. My old brain doesn't do this well. Do we vote on that? Do I hear a motion to support that continuance as discussed?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? 5-0-0. And continue. We have other things with times on them, but because they are later, let's go back up to the minutes from our previous meeting of September 6th, which I was not present. So I would be happy to let those who were present review the minutes and propose action on same. They're rather lengthy.
They're lengthy.
Not a surprise.
No.
These may set a record for the number of pages for minutes. On the chance that people have already previewed and speed read, etc., the chair is open to any motion on meeting minutes from September 6th.
On page, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, the first paragraph, I think the second sentence, well, first sentence, second line, I think it should say drainage system and stormwater management pollution prevention that will, I think it should say remain in place.
Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The one with the italicized paragraph?
Yeah, it's under certificate of action. Second line, starts with drainage system.
Yeah,
I think it should say remain in place.
that will remain. Okay.
So, for my understanding,
That it will?
you're saying that the wording would be stormwater management, pollution prevention.
Where it says the prevention that will in place, I think.
Oh, remain.
Remain.
No, insert the word remain.
Remain
yeah.
in place.
Good sense.
being moved.
Moved to accept the minutes from September 6th with the minor corrections just mentioned. Do we hear a second?
Second.
So,
Did you-
moved and seconded to accept the minutes of September 6th as presented with a one correction. Move for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? I will abstain since I was not here. Very good, thank you for that. I'll just ask these good folks, you're here for the Dunkin' Donuts? No, for which?
42 Carriage Road.
Okay.
Extension of the,
Okay, no, that's a discussion, okay, that does not have a time frame on it, but because we have other things that will be done later, we can move right to that, in my opinion. So, we have on our agenda a request for an extension of enforcement order relating to 42 Carriage Road, which will require vote and signatures. Who would like to go first on this? Perhaps our agent, Dr. Stellinger.
The enforcement order expired on Friday last, whatever that date was, and the applicants have asked for a 30-day extension to put together the response. So that would be 30 days from that date, whatever that date is. Is that the 16th?
Well,
Last Friday.
Friday was the 15th, Saturday was the 15th.
right, Friday was the 15th, and we're looking at 30 days beyond that, or 4 weeks? What would the applicant like to say?
Yeah, if I could speak.
Sure, please do, yes.
Yes.
For the record, you'll just get your name here.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Donald Nagel. I'm an environmental and land use attorney, and I represent Maura and Nolan Brown regarding this matter. And they received an enforcement order on August 24th. And the enforcement order, as just discussed, required a restoration plan to be submitted on September 16th. On September 8th, so they retained me to help them with this. So on September 8th, I called Frank, Mr. Schellinger, requesting an extension. And I did request 30 days. And we are in the process of contacting qualified environmental consultants, and they're all swamped, pardon the pun, no pun intended.
Okay.
You know, we're hearing from them that they need more than 30 days, so I'm here to request an extension. You know, I'm told that they can't submit a restoration plan until at least November 15th. So that's what we're here to request, so we can put together a plan that we think that you guys would be able to do.
And if I interpret our calendar correctly, November 15th is the night when we would meet. It's the third Wednesday of the month of November, which is perhaps convenient.
Yeah, we haven't, I don't think we voted on November yet, but it will be.
Well, I think, if I may, I think that the thinking is, we're discussing with these consultants, is that we can submit it by the 15th.
Sure.
And you need 2 weeks, I believe, to review. And so the following meeting would be the end of the month.
Well, typically, we meet twice a month. When you have 5 Wednesdays in a month, we just kind of look at the calendar, and if we get into the holidays, I'm not quite sure. We have not scheduled all those dates yet, but we hear you that it would be somewhere in that time frame.
More likely first week of December.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, right, November, yeah, it's a winter.
so because we
Yeah,
don't want to ever try to meet between Christmas and New Year's. December we would likely meet the 6th and the 20th. so that there would be a little bit more time between the end of November and, the end of our November meetings and December meeting. So, what we are looking at, I guess, is a request to extend the enforcement order by not just 30 days, but however we want to word the calendar, to a date that's particular. Let's say November, you were offering November 15th.
Why was the enforcement order issued in the first place?
Frank, you can maybe explain that.
The enforcement order was issued because there was a non-response to the original discussion with the owners of the need for a restoration. And so after a couple of months of non-response, I issued an enforcement order.
We just simply wanted to have the right things commence to happen.
Yep.
And, but we need to make sure they are the right things, and so we understand the request.
Right, I'm not familiar with, the weeks prior to the enforcement order, but, I mean, I don't know whether there was a misunderstanding or not, but I know that these are good people, and they want to be responsive to whatever the town may require, so once they got the enforcement order, they felt like they needed to get some competent representation, so that's why I'm here.
Sure, thank you. We don't issue enforcement orders like all the time. It's simply a matter of when we don't hear anything, as our agent has just said, and it looks like we don't know when to expect to hear anything. Sometimes we just simply take this step. It might sound more draconian than it's meant to be, but yeah, it's a real thing, and so we thank you for that.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, any thoughts from the commission about this request to extend the enforcement order to November 15th? Or from our staff? If there's no concern, but rather a willingness to do this, then the chair would entertain a motion to approve this request for an extension of the enforcement order to the date of November 15th.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but could I just speak to this?
Sure.
From what I understand, there is not likely a meeting on the 29th.
That is what we are anticipating. We have not set that in stone or anything.
Yeah. Well, just assuming that might be the case, may I suggest that if the meeting is instead on December 6th, that we be allowed to submit a proposal on November 22nd, which would be 2 weeks before that meeting?
So that achieves a 2-week lead time that would be required. It just gives you, it takes advantage of a little buffer that we normally don't have, but we would have.
Right.
So the chair would entertain a motion with this thought in mind to amend or to approve the request for extension of the enforcement order to a date of November 22nd.
It would be, the way the deadlines work, the deadlines are the Monday, 2 Mondays prior to the meeting, so it'd be November 20th by noon. It's a universal deadline for everybody, so.
Then let us incorporate that into this
Okay.
potential motion, if someone's willing to make it, to extend the deadline for the enforcement order response to Monday, November 20th. And I think that both adds a little extra time and accommodates the legal requirements that we have to meet. Moved and seconded to extend the enforcement order to that date. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0. It's extended, and there would probably be a piece of paper associated with that. Yes, there is. And this Wetlands Protection Act form will be made available to you once we get it all processed here.
Thank you very much.
Communicate with the office as necessary. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Good luck. for getting onto busy people's agendas.
Have a great night.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Let the record show that since we took our initial roll call, an additional associate member has arrived. Thank you, Chris. And as we finish that, I'll just suggest to the commission that since we still have a little lead time before our 7:30 appointment, there is another discussion item, a request for minor modification to a plan to adjust 3 new foundations for approved utility poles. This is the Eversource project near Whitman Street, between East Washington and Winter Street. Do you have comments or anything from the staff on that?
Sure. This is the paperwork to look at, the one that says
Tie
time
and
bond
bond, yeah.
at the top. If you look at the back page, it's a color map of pole number 71. We previously approved a replacement of that pole with some damage to the wetland and replication. So they went out and poured the foundations for the pole. It's 3 circular foundations, and they let them cure, and they found that they didn't cure very well, and so they can't put the poles on them. So the proposal is to put the foundation on the other side of the existing pole, which is the red dot, and to mill down the ones that they put in below the surface so that they can replace the wetland there, as well as the restoration area. And so I suggest that that's a minor modification to the order, and I would recommend that you approve.
Any questions for our agent or this discussion in general? Was it a bad batch of concrete, or was it too muddy, or I wonder what?
I think it was the weather.
Oh, the weather.
I think the weather screwed it up.
The great variable. Not hearing any further discussion, the chair would entertain a motion to approve this minor modification as described.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded to approve this minor modification. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? 5-0-0. You work on that? Or?
No.
Okay. Even people who pour a lot of foundation sometimes mess up. What is that? 40 days.
Yeah, we did 49.
Yep. We have a continued notice of intent. This is hearing's been open, scheduled to be continued at 7:30. Do any of us on this side of the table or any other place in the room see an issue if we commence that a little before 7:30? Is that something that would be an issue in our minds? I don't think so. So.
Are you here for that? Are you here for that?
Okay. Well, let's move ahead. We're trying to go from top to bottom on our agenda. It's just that there was a big thing removed, so it's messed us up time-wise. So we have a continued notice of intent for the repair of existing septic system, et cetera, Dunkin' Donuts, 485 Liberty Street. Again, I understand this hearing's been open. I don't see a DEP number on this. Do
We have one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got
One
one.
has been
761.
okay. If the applicant's here, the floor is yours. tell us what we're doing.
Oh, more paper.
Thank you.
Honest to God. Come on,
So,
give me a break, will you? How many trees you're gonna kill with this project?
feel free to use that. Is that something we should have in our hands?
I printed out
Or
what
do
he
you have a
had.
smaller version?
Yeah, you guys have the smaller
Okay.
version.
Yeah, this is-
Very good. We'll
Yeah.
settle for this.
This is the hard copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Dave Arpadello with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. I'm here with Jason Cadet from Cadet Enterprises. Number 485 is located on the northerly side of Liberty Street, kind of diagonal from the town hall. The site itself sits in a zone 2 and is comprised of approximately 1.3 acres, of which approximately half of an acre is classified as upland. As you can see, there's bordering vegetated wetlands in the rear of the site, shown in blue. This has been delineated by Brad Holmes of Environmental Consulting and Restoration in August of 2021. We have shown the 50-foot buffer in yellow as well as the 100-foot buffer on the site. Currently, there's an existing Dunkin' Donuts on the property as well as a drive-through, parking area, existing site utilities, and grading landscaping as well. Currently, stormwater from the site flows kind of from Liberty Street towards a leaching catch basin, which is located in the northeasterly corner of the parking area. There's no pre-treatment or anything like that, it just flows into the catch basin, infiltrates it as it can, and overflows. Typically, it's actually full of sediment at this point, so it's really just going through on the side down the bank itself. Work within the buffer zone includes the removal of an existing failed septic system in this area. This will be replaced with a new septic system of the same size, which is 50 feet wide and 34 feet long, approximately within the same area. In order to minimize impacts on site, we noted that the existing tanks and grease trap will be inspected prior to construction, and if they're in good condition, that they can be maintained as is. We don't need to get into impacting this part of the parking area and all that staging, so we keep it like that a little bit. The proposed work will take place entirely within existing paved parking area. No new impervious areas proposed, and no previously undisturbed areas will be altered as part of this project. Also proposes the removal of this existing catch basin to the rear. As I mentioned, it's full of sediment currently. So we are proposing the removal of that and replacement with a leaching drywall in that area. Currently, as I mentioned, there's no pre-treatment BMPs on the site, so stormwater just flows untreated into that. So to try to remedy that, we're proposing the installation of a new deep sump footing catch basin, which will intercept water that's currently going to this, and will direct it, it will pre-treat it and then direct it into the leaching drywall that's going to replace the leaching catch basin. This will provide both an improvement in water quality and recharge on site. We have proposed a line of silt sock downgraded of all proposed activity. We've also proposed silt sock around the staging area, which has been pushed as far to the limit of the 100-foot buffer as possible on site. Silt stacks will be installed in this new catch basin once it's installed. Until construction is completed and the site has been stabilized, and there's no more chance of erosion going on. We have received comments from the DEP, from Andrew Point, as well as Frank. We have submitted revised plans, response letters, and documents addressing those comments. We feel everything has been addressed. This is, in our opinion, it's a pretty marked improvement over the existing site conditions, especially from a septic and a water quality standpoint. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to.
I think this is what we call a tight site.
It's very tight. We actually spoke with the Board of Health, and they waived the requirement for soil testing because there's no place to dig on site. There's no way to really do much other than what's already out there.
Unless it happened at a meeting that I was not at, it would be good maybe to avail ourselves a little bit of the DEP comments. Does our agent, our staff have such available?
The DEP reviewer indicated that the applicant needed to improve the stormwater management, in as much as this is a redeveloped site in their view. And so we went through a round of comments, and Dana Merrill revised the plan to take out the existing catch basin, put in a dry well and a deep sump catch basin to replace it, as well as cleaning out the outlet to the back. And I think that probably is sufficient improvement to satisfy the DEP.
So the DEP comment has been effectively responded to in the revised plan. That's what we're hearing. Did we hear that there was an element of the previous stormwater thing that simply was filled with sediment?
Yes, currently
Which to me sounds like lack of maintenance. Is that something that will change going forward?
Yes, as part of the comments from Andrew Point at DEP, he requested that we set up an operations and maintenance plan as well as a long-term pollution prevention plan.
Sure.
So that'll kind of get into there'll be more frequent parking lot sweeping to make sure that the sediment is picked up twice a year. That'll alleviate the filling of the...
Yeah. It seems like the kind of thing that we've seen other places for, let's say, a certain private street that will go unnamed right now, and but sounds like an appropriate response. Any further comments from our staff or questions from our commissioners here?
You want to walk through the comments I gave you this afternoon?
That would be helpful. That way we'll catch up with these folks.
I think I left them on the schedule, but I should be able to get a response.
Dan, I have extra.
We have something right here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just have the questions, I don't have the...
That's right. I can
start.
I have a terrible memory, but I think I can pull it out.
Okay.
Well, that's what paper was invented for.
Yes.
So one of the comments that we picked up was that there was a disturbance fee that was missing, and that's what the check is that...
Okay, so a check just has now reached our hands.
So
we have it.
And that's good.
This number 6 is taken care of.
Yeah.
So the first comment was just inquiring whether the stormwater structures will take up to about 13 and a half feet. That includes the catch basin as well as the infiltration drywall. The drywall is approximately 7 feet wide. There's a 4-foot structure in the middle surrounded by 2 feet of stone, and then there's a 4-foot catch basin next to it, so you end up with a 12, 13 feet or so area. Frank was just requiring
Which right now is taken up by a 4-foot catch basin. That was my point.
Yeah. So we've extended it out a little bit. The catch basin sits right at the edge of the 8-foot diameter leaching drywall limit, and there'll be a pipe connecting the 2 concrete structures, and that's been shown on the plan as we have it now. There's a little bit of pavement that'll be altered to install these. We have the silt fence bumped out a little bit just to allow us to excavate and provide these improvements. But we feel that there's plenty of room for that installation in that portion of the property. The second one, will the contractor be required to place new riprap at the head wall outlet? To try to avoid any impacts downgrading to the resource area, we're proposing just to leave that pipe and head wall as it is, and we'll connect the existing outlet pipe to the new leaching drywall that's going to install in that area. So we'll maintain that from the existing pipe out, so that nothing will need to be altered in that area, so it won't impact the resource area.
Dana, there's no wetland up against that pipe. I mean, if we have a heavy storm, then one would expect water would rush out of the head wall. And I think right now it does have riprap, but it's probably pretty degraded at this point. I mean, it's not a big deal to lay down some, a riprap apron there to
Sure.
collect the outfall.
I think if that's something that the commission is interested in, that's something we could probably.
I'll write that in as a condition.
Okay.
Okay.
We're just trying to keep the impacts as probably as possible. Page 7, item 6, C6 applies, A applies, B does not. The plan in regards to the stormwater originally, where it was just a repair or second. In the past, that hasn't required, it's been our experience that it hasn't required anything from the DEP. His employee has taken a different approach, and we've complied with that. So I just forgot to, on top of the doesn't apply to retoggle there. It does apply, it's been provided.
So continuing down the list, right?
I'm sorry.
Continuing with the list, yeah?
Yes, continuing with the list. The narrative, Frank's question, continuous versus contiguous, they basically mean the same thing. Contiguous just means it's not broken. That's the word I had used to describe the little bit of silt talk surrounding it's contiguous, it's not broken.
Okay.
A solid line.
Well, you know, we strive to be accurate, so, moving right along.
Standard number 9, where is the maintenance plan? That is included in that final site that I sent.
As we,
That just came in today.
okay, good.
That was not here before.
Oh, well,
And I have looked at it. It's pretty comprehensive. I'd be surprised if, I'd be surprised if Dunkin' Donuts carries through.
Well,
It's that detailed.
it's a easy place to inspect, being where it is, but actually, that would reports be forthcoming to us
Yes.
from those events? Okay.
So what I will do is I'll make that a condition of the CFC going forward. This has to happen. Reference to
Okay.
maintenance plan.
And any others? Are we still on the list?
The last one was that fee for the disturbance, which has been submitted.
That's right here, and it's signed, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
got it.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. So I think what we're hearing is that there will be at least a couple of specific conditions, special conditions associated with the closing of this. Any additional comments or questions?
Just to clarify, you're not changing the dimensions of the parking lot in any way, right?
Yep. So everything's going to be maintained in the current.
Approximately when is this work going to be occurring? This winter, or is it spring, or?
This fall.
Yeah, it's fall, October, mid-October. It'll be a down catastrophe.
That tends to be a worry with the town.
Well, you know, it seems, I'm going to make a wild guess, saying the place will have to close for a little while.
Yes, about 2 weeks.
And so we expect fewer traffic reports from that, for that period of time.
One point I want to make is that you haven't been through the Board of Health yet, as I understand it.
That's correct.
And if they change the plan, you're going to have to come back to the office for my review to make sure that it doesn't affect anything having to do with conservation.
Sure.
Okay? So the first condition in the order will be contingent on Board of Health approval.
Their review consultant was on vacation, apparently, so we just got comments this afternoon, and they seem pretty straightforward.
Okay. Well, what we find is that there's always that risk of a plan changing after we've approved it, and
Yes.
Frank is
Because
diligent.
what we're going to reference in the order is the plan as it is. If the plan is different, then the order has to say that it's the new version. It's generally better if you go through the Board of Health first, but be that as it may. They have the same feeling that we do, that they want us to go first. So
But it sounds like they will be following in very short order. You probably
Yes.
are, you're on their agenda.
That's
soon.
right. Originally, we were supposed to be on last week,
Mhm.
but as I mentioned, I've thought about it,
Okay.
review the plan.
Is there any other question or concern? I think we've, at least within our jurisdiction, we probably all have questions about concerns, but it's just a matter of moving ahead with what we need to do here. Not to anticipate nothing, but I'll just say, the chair would entertain a motion to issue a variance to work within the 50-foot buffer zone for this project.
So moved. Second.
Discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining, 5-0-0. Now, the final step for tonight, the chair would be interested in hearing a motion to close the hearing and approve the project, subject to special conditions, both standard conditions and the special ones we've discussed. Do I hear a motion? Yes. Mr. Mansfield, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Opie. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0. We have achieved progress, and we will sign this one here. And we wish you well in your discussion with the Board of Health, and you know how to communicate with the office with Dr. Skellinger, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Actually, I'll just ask, once the work actually starts, do you have a sense of how long it will take to finish? Is it a month, 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's about 2 weeks if everything goes well.
Okay.
Yeah, two to three days should be the most.
Probably depends
Yeah.
on our good friend, the weather,
Yeah, the weather,
and other things.
yeah, parts covered in, things are,
Let's wish the supply chain well.
yeah, yeah.
Well, good. Thank you.
Still COVID reasons, right?
Well, I'm sure you'll get it done.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks.
As long as the train station,
It's not that far. The town's not that big.
No, I'm sure. Then we're gonna get halfway across town and be like, hot damn.
Maybe I put them on back in Speedway.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
We got Sandy's home across the street.
Yeah.
our next scheduled thing is 7:45, and 7:45 hasn't quite arrived yet. Let me ask if we could maybe do one more of our sort of special non-time related actions here, so as to respect the clock and so on. I see there is an item down here, what was a revision. It's request for release of a bond for Tedeschi and Gray for 161 Gray Lane, DEP number SE 175-0278. What ought we to know about this request before we move, et cetera?
The commission asked for a bond back in 1978, when this particular house was being built, to make sure that it was vegetated at the end of the project. And the money's been sitting for 25 years in the Treasury. The site is extremely well vegetated. And so there's no reason to keep the money anymore. When I presented the other bond at the last meeting, I hadn't been able to contact the people who gave us the bond, and I since found the person. And so at this point, I think you could vote to release his bond.
Well, this comes under the heading of ancient history, right? Well, any further questions about this request for a release of a bond?
How much was the bond like?
I'm sorry?
Do we know how much the bond was and how much it is now?
Yep, $1,992.25.
Is what it stands at now, I assume?
That's what's in the account, yes.
The way it works in the Treasury now is that the interest goes to general fund. but that was not true up until 2009. So his $1,500 bond grew to $1,900.
Well, seems pretty cut and dried, and
Will we give them that money back?
so the chair would entertain a motion to approve release of this bond for 161 Dre Lane, DEP file number SC 175-0278.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? 500. Here is the memorandum for such.
Oh, did I? I guess I should look closer. I should be in that seat.
I hear you had a fantastic turnout this chair.
Yeah, I guess I will.
Should have elevator music for the signing period.
Something tranquil.
Very. Something.
We could get some of your CDs.
Yeah, but bring them in, put them in.
All right, thank you. In the opinion of the chair, we're close enough to 7:45 PM now that it would be appropriate to deal with a continued notice of intent for an upgrade to the beach area of Cranberry Cove. It now has a DEP file number, which I understand is DEP SE 175-0762. So, we will commence with that, and the chair would like to open the floor to the applicant, which is another version of the town.
Good evening, folks.
Hi, Roger.
We just got those in the
Oh,
mail today.
thank you very much.
We went over some of it last, two weeks ago, we went over some of it, you weren't here.
Right.
But we went over it. What would you like me to go over, the whole thing, or?
Well, let me sample the opinion of the people who were here before. How shall we summarize where we are? I know I can probably catch up pretty quickly, but I see a pretty thick file in your hands.
Oh, that's more than one thing.
Okay.
Don't let that scare you.
I think just maybe a 30 to 60-second summary would be a good idea. And I see there is a document that's just been handed to me here. This is a report which is addressed to you, Roger.
Right.
It says wetland resource evaluation, then it says wetland delineation, and then a regulatory review. This is done by Ken Thompson, who is a wetland scientist known to us. And it does say, and I don't mean to steal the thunder, but this is mostly for me. Maybe you folks, maybe this is new to you guys too, or have you seen this?
I think we got it last meeting.
Oh, it was available last meeting?
Yeah.
So, in other words, the wetlands have been evaluated, it's been delineated, and getting to the regulatory part, we're dealing with a bank with land underwater bodies and waterways, bordering vegetated wetlands, bordering with septic flooding, and river front. So there are buffer zones of all types here. And this report by Mr. Thompson is accompanied by inventories and maps, etc. Again, real simply, what do we want to do?
Well, the short version is what we're trying to do is, one, beautify the beach. Two, we're going to take and approximately in half cut the beach to a smaller sand area. The upper portion towards the bathhouse and stuff is going to turn into grass. Pull the sand out. What that's going to do is help resolve the issue with the bees.
Make it less attractive to transient wasps or whatever they are.
Correct. At the same time, we have a water issue that keeps coming up year after year on the exterior of the fence, exterior of the beach. We're gonna put some barriers in there on both sides of the entrance or buffers rather, to keep the water from running in. On the far end, facing the beach, to the left, is a retention basin. We're gonna increase the size of that and clean that up. So rainwater has more places to go and filter out before they move past. That's pretty much phase one. Phase two, I'm meeting with the same company that you referred to there, the different gentlemen, for stormwater management for the complete location on Tuesday. So we're proceeding with that as well, but that's not to do with this request here.
It's my understanding, and please tell me if I'm wrong, Frank or anyone, that the person from whom a stormwater management plan was requested some time ago has recused himself from that that possibility. So now you're on to plan B as far as who would fly that
Plan B,
plan.
a new person coming in, and they're gonna go over it all.
Do what needs to be done.
With me and see what needs to be done and what they can do for us.
Okay.
Frank, I know 2 weeks ago when we had this conversation, we were discussing whether there'd be any DEP comments.
There have been none. We received no comments from the DEP. We just got a number. It just came today.
So they
No
issued a
comment.
number, but no comments came with it.
No comments.
Does that mean we probably don't expect any?
We don't.
Okay.
I waited for their comments because I know they're on a stormwater kick,
Yes.
and they made a point of it with the Dunkin' Donuts application,
Mhm.
but they didn't make a point of it for this application. So, I don't know whether the same person reviewed or whether they just felt that this one was not as, didn't rise to the level that they needed to
So
be involved.
I'm sorry. I think my sense then is that the stormwater is a separate issue, but it will be dealt with. Okay. But the plan before us now, basically is landscaping with the, I'll call it sensible elements that you described about managing the water. We have had some sort of temporary best ideas that we could think of on short notice improvements made, which my observation has been they've worked pretty well.
Absolutely.
What else would we say about that? Just we lucked out a little bit.
It has worked out well on every storm except one recently. The banks are getting down a little bit because the straw deteriorates over time.
Yeah.
There was an extremely large amount of water. It did go in under the fence facing the beach again to the left end. The retention pin overflowed in and caused a little bit of wash on that side.
So that speaks to the need to absolutely, as intended, stormwater will be dealt with. We see that. What else ought we to know about the project as proposed? It's a
I'd just like to say that I've been down to the cove a number of times since the heavy rains that we've had recently, and if you go down there, you can see that the beach sand is being eroded. So I think it's absolutely necessary that the one thing that be added to this is that all along the line that you're planning to cut the sand away and put down lumen grass, that there needs to be a line of straw bales to prevent the erosion into the lake. And that's not in this package, so we would have to condition it.
be a special condition.
Would have to be
We talked
conditioned.
about one of them socks.
You could
You
use,
and I talked about that, and we did add that onto the plan. You may not have the updated one, but our contractor is planning on putting something down to keep anything from going into the waters.
Just a quick comment from me here. Straw bales are pretty good sized. Socks are smaller diameter than the size of a bale.
Mhm.
I think I'm hearing that if a bale were used, it would be a more secure barrier.
I would say that a big sock would work, but normally these contractors don't use big socks.
These straw wattles,
They use the
basically.
8-inch sock max, they might use a 12-inch sock, but what they really need is the big one, the 18-inch. So, and those are really expensive, and I don't think straw bales are that expensive. So I would suggest that they stake in a line of straw bales.
So what we're hearing potentially is we could make that a condition. that we would
I
have
mean,
to,
I'm not gonna dictate that,
we'll consider.
but, what I would say is that if the contractor is gonna make a decision other than that, I wanna know in advance. They're expensive. This is the contractor. Obviously.
Yes, we have pretty good communication going on here. The description of the project is back here.
200 feet of 18-inch silver stock, that's the biggest stock.
Yeah, and as Frank was saying, maybe a little bit pricey compared to straw.
Because that's what you asked for, but certainly get you a full-time.
I never put them in, so we have to find someone that doesn't. Clean those washouts before,
Yeah, if we can go with the 18-inch sock that he's already planning on, that's fine with me.
Just let me know what you're gonna do, Roger,
Okay.
so that I can put it into the order.
You've already figured 18-inch stock anyway, correct?
Okay.
So you're okay, we can put it up with a change over from sand, up there, not so much down at the beach inch itself.
And then the only other thing on that is like when do you wanna take those out, you know, like do you take it out next year or you just leave it there? Something to think about when people are on the beach, you know?
Exactly, yes.
Well, it looks,
That's
to
another
me,
problem,
it seems like
taking it out.
the straw tends to both rot and allow other things to take root. And maybe whatever the most sensible thing is to do to deal with that point in time.
We've done some jobs with the stuff that's dated, still there.
Yeah.
Have you got a timetable?
We have not completely got one, I'm hoping, I wanna discuss with him once we get the okay from you guys, I'm hoping within the next few weeks.
So, the part that's going to be loomed and seeded would be loomed and seeded before
That is
next
our hope.
season.
So there is
If that's the case, then the erosion control come. Can't talk tonight. The erosion control could come out.
if the
If the vegetation is
Right.
there, then it's
established.
not gonna erode.
I would agree, but I would probably leave it there till spring.
I'd leave it there for the
Oh,
spring.
yeah, leave it there until the cove opens.
Right.
And then
Okay, put it-
take it out.
Well,
But you don't have to leave it there well for each.
If it isn't growing, though, you gotta leave it there. Sorry.
Okay.
well, based on me catching up with things that were already done before tonight, the notice has been filed, it's got a DEP file number, we've didn't get comments from DEP, but we have a few comments here tonight. It seems to me we've made good progress, and the applicant's been diligent in planning and communicating, and it does seem to the chair that the first step right now is to consider a motion to issue a variance to work within the 50-foot buffer zone.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to allow work within the 50-foot buffer zone. Again, you got all these zones. Move to the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? That's approved unanimously. And now I think we come to the key point. The chair will entertain a motion to close the hearing and approve the project, subject to special conditions as discussed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? 5-0-0. Paperwork will always follow, but we'll start it right now.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Thanks for coming in.
May we have a nice, long, gradual, remaining section of the growing season
Yes.
for these ambitious steps,
Yeah.
and without excessive rainfall. Just, may we have no such thing as normal. We've already had almost 40 inches this year, which is, you know,
Average is 46 for the whole year.
so, good luck.
It comes with a large amount in a short time, and that's what hurts.
Oh, yeah. And we keep proving it over and over at the Cove, what kind of weather events we have. And we wish you well.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a short list of other things to talk about tonight. One item on there is Master Plan Steering Subcommittee. We have, probably everyone knows this, but there's been a communication from the planning board that among the many other things related to the master plan, there is a desire to create a steering subcommittee consisting of 5 members with points of contact being such that 2 members of that steering committee would be planning board members, 1 from Conservation Commission, and 2 from the public at large. So, the question before us is responding to their request for a Conservation Commissioner to sit on the steering committee, which, by the way, has an intended shelf life, completing its work with monthly meetings, but having everything be done by the end of June next year. So it seems to be intended to be efficient, et cetera, et cetera. Almost everyone here is already doing stuff. Is there someone who's extremely eager to be on this master plan steering subcommittee?
I'd like to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be commendable. I know from being on the master plan committee itself, way back 15 years ago, it's important. And unless the environmental pieces are spoken to, it's, you never know what you're going to get. So this would be us hopefully speaking to those things. I actually had considered the idea of it. Everyone who I've talked to says, no, don't you dare. See if you can get someone else to do it. And this is an interesting thought. Any comments from anyone else on the commission?
I think TJ would be an excellent on that.
Then do I hear a motion to nominate TJ Rofi to be the Conservation Commission member of the Master Plan Steering Subcommittee?
I would like to nominate TJ for that.
I'll second
That
it.
motion has been made and is seconded. Discussion? Hearing none further? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? 5. If you voted for yourself, that's 5-0-0.
I did, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
So this is for PJ to fill out.
Okay, we have,
The select board, and then I already put a
That's
thing
available.
to mail it in.
Okay, good. Here is a form for our applicant to fill out. We have seen things like that before.
2 years ago.
And Lon will make sure all that goes in the right direction.
Yeah, you can, there's a stamped envelope there if you want to mail it, or if you want to send it to me, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Yes, TJ's name on it.
Yeah.
There have been good communications all around. I feel thankfully unnecessary myself.
Okay.
So that's done. We have an item which says Conservation Properties Status, and we also had a handout, I think, Dave?
Yeah, well, we got several things to deal with today. let me say that, first of all, we had some discussion, informal discussion, and tied up the weekly or bi-weekly.
There was a draft, so to speak,
Yeah.
proposal of tasks.
Yeah, so each property has someone assigned to move it, patrolling for trash and monitoring, and it's just the basic weekly
Oversight.
Yeah, just basically oversight. Like that. We're hoping to get a volunteer to go and monitor it. And so the way it runs out is Ed's taking the town forest. Chris is going to stay with Smitty's logs. Steve's going to keep monitoring the cedar trees. I'm going to stay with the Indian Head Brook project. People staying with what they've started. So. But Chris is going to take care of the general maintenance down there. Sleeper, right now we're not doing anything with it, but Chris is he'll monitor that, the trash issues. Indian Crossway, there's not much to do. I'll stay with that and push you in.
And I will continue to try to liaison with the state because of their
we got Dave and Phil on that.
Yep.
And Smith Nowzelski, Steve's going to take care of the parking lot at the kiosk, and I'm going to keep track of the rest of it since that's another ongoing project.
Yes, it is.
Fort Meadow, it's taken Fort Meadow, and I'm going to stay with Western Billing, not as much. Rocky Run, I'm going to take care of Rocky Run, and Bonnie Hill Trail, I'm going to stay with that as well. Chris is going to, we're going to talk in the future, maybe tonight, about mowing up there. And he's going to take care of the center section, let's call it, not weed. So that's the way we've divided it up. I've been in communication with Laura. She's interested in helping as well, so once she's back in action, I'll talk to her and move.
Right. I know she's got many challenges, whether it be child care and but I commend her interest and thank you for.
She said she was interested in helping, so I'll touch base with her and we'll get her in the mix as well. So
Good.
that's the way we've kind of split it up to make it just to even out the task and make it more efficient. And everybody is going to give me a quick heads up on Tuesdays before meetings, so I can include what's going on the little grid here.
I think that's good.
So we'll still get the grid, and I'll just get feedback from Worley's doing whatever. So that's that. Now, also, I had put out a list of projects and things that need to be done, and Frank and I have been in communication since then about our budget and our proposal at the town meeting, and I priced what we need, and I ran that by Frank. I think we're on the same page with that. So our budget request for October essentially matches our needs, expense needs. I don't have that with me, the cost thing with me, but Frank has it. I have a copy at home, so.
Are we putting that out or something out at town meeting?
Well, I think so, right? Frank has it. I didn't make a copy of it.
I didn't copy it, so you'll have to share it.
Yeah, well, I have it at home, but I didn't bring a copy with me, but.
I think Ed's question is very good. It seems to me that this could be very useful. We maybe put a little bit of a heading on top of this and put it on green paper or something. It could be, maybe we should show it to the finance committee if we have a chance. Not that there's much time left between now and town meeting, because there isn't much time. But,
well, we'd like to get them on board with a recommendation at least.
yeah. I think this is a pretty strong piece of support for what we're asking for. That's my sense.
Well, yeah, that was the point.
Yeah.
We've had no communication from the finance committee at all, so we don't have any idea how they're going to jump.
Ought we not to be reaching out towards them? I mean, we can hope for them to reach out towards us, and if they haven't, how can we do the reaching ourselves?
I can send an email out to them. I know they met last night.
Ooh, I hope that wasn't the last meeting.
Yeah, I know, so I'm just looking at.
So our point would be, we have information that we would like them to also have to hopefully guide directions, recommendations, et cetera.
I mean, it's clear from that we can't do what we want to do if we don't get the money that we asked for.
Well, basically, if we don't get the money we asked for, then the work we've done is basically for naught at this point, because it'll deteriorate.
Yep.
So it's kind of a do or die situation.
Gotta have it.
Yeah, we've gotta have it. And pretty much all of it, there's not slack and just extra money.
Shall we basically accept the offer I just read from our admin here to communicate with the Finance Committee to seek an opportunity to get their ear, to meet with them, to present this information to them? Is that the will of the commission?
I just don't know that we're too late for that, but I think we should do it, but it might be.
We can request it, we're doing the best we can here, we meet when we meet, and if there's any opportunity at all,
It's kind of the 11th hour.
understood.
Yeah, they met September 19th, which was last night. New business, review October special town meeting warrant, and their next agenda that they posted was for the October town meeting.
It may be that we make that request, futile though it may be,
We'll do it.
but also, we also wish to put into your hands, by whatever means, whatever the right route is, this information, even if there isn't a formal decision on their part, we want that to be
For
informed.
review.
What about doing what we did last time and what if we have a handout that has this on it?
And we hand it out to the 150 voters
Right.
also.
Then people will
do the
know,
same. Well, everyone's got the
it's
same
not just a
thing.
lump sum we're asking for, it's specific.
These are the reasons for the sum.
Right. Huh?
They're talking about the number of voters, 150.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get
You think that's a good idea? We
I
should-
think it's a terrific
And
idea.
people can see that we need the money for very specific things.
It saves, well, it simplifies the task of standing up and presenting things, because as you all have in your hands, this is the reason why we're asking for this amount of money.
Right.
And we're trying to maintain what we've already done, not slip back on things.
Right.
We see a lot of appreciation for and expectation of the residents of Hanson that these things be done. This is how to do it, and we ask for the support. And if the Finance Committee has it in their hands ahead of time, I don't know what they'll say or do, but
Okay.
we've just done the best we can. We couldn't produce it sooner. We would like to have.
During the last select board meeting, just as an FYI, we went through and we signed off on the warrant. We had a member of the Finance Committee here, the chair of the committee, and basically he was kind of brimstone.
Of course.
If everything passes in the warrant, we're broke and don't have the 5% buffer that we'd like to have to maintain our bond rating, et cetera. So that may be discussed at the beginning of the town meeting. I would hope it would be almost, so that people understand it. But then we went to discuss the $50,000 for the commission, and at first it was, can we make that lower? And then the discussion around the table was that the commission needs the money to keep going. So even with what the Finance Committee said, the select board still thought we needed the $50,000.
Okay, so there is at least a modicum of support.
30?
We asked for 30.
Well, we'll take 50 if you give it.
We'll take 50, yes.
Well,
But I think that's a good idea.
I mean, the
to
will
make
of the
it
town is what we'll have to be stuck with, but
That's right.
we need the money, and if we don't get it, we can't maintain the property.
So let's prepare that handout, let's make it available to the Finance Committee as quickly as we can, however they distribute things among themselves, and to have it in the hands of the public also. I think we need the approval of the clerk or the moderator or both to have the handout.
I have to reach out to Sean.
Okay, and it'll simply be one page. It'll look like that, maybe with a little bit of a slightly larger heading on the top, maybe just stating what article it's related to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way people know how to relate it to the other things in their lap.
Okay, we have a couple other things, so, another thing that's not related to the town meeting, but is related to budgetary issue, is the signage for that new trail, because if we don't get those signs in soon, I think we're gonna time out on that grant. And we're supposed to have a grand opening on October 20th, and I think it's already too late to get for that. So I don't know what we should do about that, but that's...
What we should do is administer a heavy wet noodle to your chair for having not done some things he intended to do. But the wording for the signage, I'm going to say, rather than pretend we can achieve perfection, the good wording that was prepared before, let's go with it. That's my thought. I don't know what the rest of the commission thinks, but we had to plan a proposal for the wording of the signs.
Right.
I say, let's move ahead with that and seek to have the signs produced. And
But the money has to come from community preservation.
that's fine. That's fine. We should look at the overall budget because we had a $31,000 from community preservation. We should double check and see what we spent from that. And
You just happen to have that with you?
I have it with me, yes.
I carried it all the time.
I carry it all the time.
She's the best.
You are the best.
Just in case.
computers need not have been invented if everyone was as capable to.
We needed it, right?
So putting this information in the hands of the people who had produced the signs so as to get a dollar figure, we have not done that yet, right?
No.
So let's do that. And getting the quote from them will give us time to make sure we figure out, make sure what we have.
You want to go to Webster then? They might be quicker than trying to get...
I think they would be outstanding. It's funny, the president of Webster Print was in the Conservation Office yesterday and spoke about, besides the project that they have in mind, we spoke just informally about their interest as his interest as the head of that business in educating the public. And this would motivate them, I think, to maybe do a good job for us on this.
Okay.
The project they have in mind where they clean up whole property? No?
Well, that's why he was in the office, but that's not what we're talking about tonight.
Okay, I think I have that line, but I'm not sure. Can you email me that?
Yeah, you want the digital? You want that to take too?
Yeah, because they'll probably want the digital.
Yeah, okay.
Why don't I leave it in your capable two hands?
Yeah, I'll email you in the morning.
Email me that, and I'll take the digital down to Webster.
Okay.
And I'll talk to them about what they can do for us. We'll probably end up having to build the post for it, but that's fine.
Fine.
Right.
Well, that's what they did at Poor Meadow.
We've seen sort of like the two bookends of complexity, how to do it. There's the simple things like down at Poor Meadow, and there's the big things like we did at Rocky Run. This is near the simple end, because that's all we need and can afford.
One of the things to keep in mind is that CPC is only giving us 30 grand. And if you look at the financial report for the last fiscal year, I think what you're gonna find is that you always spend it.
Well, let's get a quote anyway, because whatever we do and whenever we do it, we need to know what it would cost.
Yep.
And if we can't afford it, we won't do it. But this is an important step, so I'd like to see that proceed.
Okay, so we'll do that. A couple other pressing things that we need to deal with, and they have to do with mowing. We have to mow the trails at Smitty's, which Chris, if I can speak for you, is volunteered to do.
Already did it.
Oh, you already did it? Again? Second time?
Good, it's all, I got everything now.
You do both sides?
Yep.
Let me throw this in about that. I know from having walked them a lot, it's not all like nice smooth lawn. There's ruts, there's puddles and things like that. How does it go mowing around that?
No problem, right through it.
Okay, because it seems to me that besides mowing, we should aspire, maybe somehow, to take some of the piles of sand that are there and use them to fill in some of those ruts and puddles. So going forward, we have an increasingly better surface for walking and mowing. But it went pretty well.
Why don't you and I get together sometime in the next week or something and just walk it, come up with a plan for doing that, okay? Now, the next question is, though, mowing the meadows up in...
But before we leave Smitty's Park, we put together 6 years ago, with an intern's help, a little map that showed a southern loop and a northern loop. The northern loop would be much longer. did we mow everything, or did we follow that map? Because I'm thinking, long-term, we might not want to lock ourselves into mowing everything this year. We might not want to maintain every trail that people used to use.
Yeah, I probably have like 10 hours, and I can get everything done. I did the hill in front of Camp Kawani and
Okay.
all the intersections,
Yeah.
have to clear out.
Well,
One of the things that we need to bear in mind is that on October the 4th, Jasper Cowley is going to come and look at what we're doing at Smitty's. And we can't just mow.
Right.
right.
We have to have a compatible use agreement from the
Right.
USDA.
Right. I don't remember what the compatible use agreement, when it first set up, said about trails, except that I believe it said something. And then there was other areas, as you and I have discussed, to mow for vistas.
Yep.
But what we're saying, Chris, is that there's some pretty cast in stone formalities that we do have to follow with the USDA about where we would mow and do other things too.
Well, that trailer around where the kiosk is, that was a trail anyway. That's not a new trail.
Well, what we need to see is what it says in the USDA documents,
Right.
because we have, ever since the day we bought the thing, we said we want to maintain trails, and they've been fine with that, but what I'm thinking is that well, there may be a few places where there's honestly more value in letting something go wild than mowing it for a trail. But we just need to start with whatever the language is that says in the USDA compatible use agreement document. But terrific that we've done stuff, but as Frank points out, we will be periodically inspected, and we just need to have everything fit together and not have any conflict.
They're actually coming down next week, aren't they? Is it next week?
October the 4th,
Soon.
11 o'clock.
Yeah.
You want to meet them there, Phil?
Well, now that I've heard the date and time, if an email reached me, it would help. I would like very much to do that. I'd also like to take a walk and look at Chris's good work before then. But again, we just need to make sure that we're in step with them. It's sort of like filling out your taxes, you've got to do it the way they say.
It's very important that we focus him on the Phragmites, because otherwise we're going to miss the opportunity for them to be cut.
Right.
And I need a CUA for that.
So, amen to all that.
Okay, the other thing is the mowing of the meadows at Bonnie Hill. Now, I finally talked to Nicole. I found out she doesn't check her moist messaging on her phone. That's why she didn't do that.
Oh, okay.
But I met her, and she said, "Oh, I never check them." So,
well, great.
so what I told her was to call and make an appointment to come in to talk to the commission. Apparently, she hasn't. So I don't know if we should wait for her, and maybe we should just go ahead and figure out what we're going to do.
I think the goal is to simply maximize within our resource abilities the quality of the meadows, and we all know that isn't make them into putting greens or golf courses or front lawns. It's like mow it less often and to a taller height than what sometimes people would expect you to do.
Well, there's two pieces to that. One is the perimeter
Yep.
walk, and the other is the meadow itself.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know which will come first, that egg or that chicken, but the model, keep in mind, it's available in many places, but one that comes to mind is Bay Farm down at the Kingston-Duxbury line. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. That's the terminus of the Bay Circuit Trail. And it's probably about a 30 or 40 acre meadow. And there's definite trails down the middle and then a little around the edge that are mowed more or less grass. And then the growth in the meadow itself is mowed at the most every year. It might be every other year. Because you don't want to, you want to encourage rather than discourage the various types of weeds and flowers and stuff like that that grow. So whatever the height is, and also the timing, I always, whenever I see guidance on this, you get at different places, it's like September, maybe early October, after birds have done nesting, and after butterflies have had the eggs laid and they've flown away, and you do the minimum harm to the wildlife by scheduling it then. So it's a matter of how often you mow it, what time of year you mow it, and the height that you mow it to. And so all those things, we just need to put it together and make a plan.
Yeah, I have a comment on that one too. I reached out, I'm active with a couple of different charities for ground nesting birds.
Oh, yes, good.
The-
Ground nesting birds, yes.
Yeah, Bobolink Foundation, I've actually seen bobolinks up there, endangered birds.
And bubblings at the,
At the last, that was the first one, but I've seen that body still at the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
To be encouraged,
Oh,
because
yeah.
those are birds of interest.
Oh, yeah, yeah, there's an entire charity that is dedicated to just that one bird, and I donate to it regularly. I reached out to them just to say what are the recommended dates to prevent mowing, because that's primarily what that charity does. Is
Okay.
They literally pay off farmers to not mow during certain times.
Right.
They said anytime, the rule that they do, if somebody's really willing to do it, is May 15th to August 15th. After August 15th, it's safe to mow for the birds.
In other words, don't mow between May 15th and August 15th.
Yeah, as long as, so if we committed to September or October, that would be perfect.
So we didn't violate their standards by what we had Scott Johnson do this past spring.
Yeah.
Because he was like in March.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
No, that would be before.
That's what I'm saying, he did not violate their
Oh, I
standards.
think it did, sorry.
The other thing to consider is turtles.
Yeah.
Because box turtles particularly, there are times of year that are not so good for them. They actually, like most turtles, they nest in late spring. And so if a turtle is migrating around or making a nest, you wouldn't want to hit it with a tractor. And by the way, a nesting box turtle, a turtle was observed nesting at the edge of Fern Hill Cemetery, which is about a quarter of a mile north of northernmost field. So, but that whole area, when you consider where turtles live, I think whatever the standards are, not just for bubblings, but also for turtles, we should take that into account too.
So when can we mow the perimeter?
Well, I'm not sitting here looking at the reference, but I think,
I think into October now.
it's probably pretty safe to say like now, between now and,
You're talking the perimeter
Just
the center, or just the?
Well, I'm talking about the perimeter first.
I think it makes sense to do a perimeter mowing so as to establish a trail route around the perimeter of these things, and to define where else you're gonna mow later, or on a schedule.
Right. So do you want to walk that to the side, or do you want to just let Chris take his best judgment up there?
What's your schedule like, Chris? When would you like to take a walk and look at it?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, actually, yeah. Yeah, maybe it would this weekend.
so, let's pick a time and say we'll do it, whatever works for you. It's pretty flexible, up to a point.
Pretty much next week.
Okay. We should do early next week, because late next week, I know I get busy. Monday? Oh, actually, what's the weather gonna be like? Monday's supposed to be good.
It doesn't matter.
Well, it only matters a little bit. We could meet at the water tower Monday morning, say 8:30.
Okay.
6:55, high 68.
Yeah, I saw the weather tonight before I left, and actually, it looks like kind of a nice day.
I'll send an email with both you guys
Yes.
in it, and then you'll
Yeah,
have each
send one to
other's
me,
email.
too.
You wanna go in it too? Okay.
Because what this will do, the same, somewhere in the same intranet that we talked about, the space spot, we laid out in rough manner, proposed perimeter trails for exactly this. Now, the rubber is going to meet the road, or the blade will meet the grass, or whatever you want.
Okay.
Good. So we won't meet each other. He's just watching the clock. Good stuff there.
Okay, well, I think I'll use up enough time.
Okay. Property management update. Open space acquisition, I just want to say, there has been a reawakening of communication with the Hubble organization. They actually have retained an outside real estate consultant to do things that they haven't had time to do for 2 years, which includes talking to the state Fish and Game and to us about the properties between Cricker Place and Hawks Avenue, stuff we don't already own. So we made them aware of the appraisal that we had done a couple of years ago independently. And the conversation has actually started. After almost 2 years of trying to have a conversation, we now have it. And we'll see what they say. And that will be good, because if we can acquire that somehow, sometime, it will close a gap in the Bay Circuit Trail, and there's lots of other good things.
Does that indicate that they're talking to Fish and Wildlife too about that?
They are. There's a MAC meeting, a Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commission meetings, October 28th. You've probably all seen this, but I want to make sure we see it. It's been a while since they've had in-person meetings, and Frank and I have gone to any number of these when they're back on East Avenue. Has anyone else ever been to one? They are great. I like them a lot. It's very educational. You can schmooze, you can get donuts, you know. There's a lot of booths from vendors and things. But October 28th, one's coming up, and unless something's happened to the money, we have enough budget to pay for us to attend. And then reimburse miles. I'm planning to go. If anyone wanted to ride with me, I've got a total of 5 seatbelts in the truck. Probably 4 if we just want to have elbow room.
I'd love to go, but I have to work in Buffalo unless it gets canceled.
Well, so the floor is open to thoughts or...
I'll be out of town that weekend.
You'll be out of town?
There is a budget.
Yeah.
I would love to go if it's a possibility. I don't need to go if it's a bunch of
Steve, for the stuff that you do, you might run into a lot of your friends.
I have a possibility of going, but I'm gonna have a lot of weekend work.
Okay, so, again, we just wanted to make sure we're all aware, and no one can do everything they want to do.
There's
Chris,
classes
associate
too,
members are eligible too.
that you can do online.
So,
If it goes in order, you just start with 101 and then go up.
No.
Okay.
you just sort of patchwork the thing in.
He says outing himself, having not taken any of them for years.
That's what,
I know you did, I didn't.
oh, you did.
But I know I attended a lot of these,
You
when I
didn't.
was an associate member, so, Chris, if you're interested in
There's a series of courses you
let us know, or
Oh.
Yep.
come down to the office and say, what is this really? And by the way, they
That's
serve a really good lunch,
okay.
which is covered by our fee.
You need one? Oh, yeah.
So, there's that, and I think we now have some business called signed vouchers.
Five.
Okay, here they come.
So we won't meet again before
Oh,
town meeting,
yeah.
right?
Oh, you finished it, awesome. All right, okay.
Apparently not. We will probably meet 2 days after town. So let's all have the necessary chatter about that handout, because I feel that that was a very good step to do, even though we're doing it a tiny bit later than we perfectly should.
We think it's 150.
Yeah.
These are the hard copies for the Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay. I'll put
They
it
need
in
to be
the,
stamped.
I'll put them in the document folder.
Okay. Have we overlooked anything? Because I don't think we did. I think we're good as far as our agenda
The
tonight.
restoration thing, Matt. You don't want to bring this sign, right? With the-
The one thing I forgot to mention on the property stuff is that we got approved by All Trails, and we have an account with them
Oh, good.
for their public lands.
So that's an online website and resource. But the good news to me, from what you said, Dave, is that they want us to QC the accuracy of what's there.
Right.
What's providing information, rather than some of the stuff you see online is just garbage that they get.
Well, they actually, what they do is they vet what I send them,
Yes.
and then they approve it. Once they approve it, we can access our dashboard, which means we can update them, we can add things to them, we can, like, for instance, we talked about if we want to close Poor Meadow in the wet season.
Yes.
That we can put that on, so it'll come up if somebody looks for that trail.
So it appears that you have found a really good partner for us in our trail initiatives.
Yeah.
That's an excellent thing.
So I'm getting up to speed as fast as I can. I've got 6 maps in there now. So,
What I was mentioning earlier is that I'm not sure if you need to use their QR.
yeah, it comes up.
As is.
It comes right up.
Or you could replace that dinosaur with the Town of Hanson's logo, and it'll still, the code will still work. That dinosaur has nothing to do with the code.
You can do that with the QR code, but you gotta be very careful not to extend past the pixel borders of the.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess
But
they
that's what's
don't want us to muck with their app.
Yeah.
Probably a good thing.
And
The
we
vouchers,
have-
the vouchers all signed?
You know the new maps I sent you?
Vouchers all signed?
Can you
Oh, yes.
switch them out with the ones we have on?
Yeah.
Take the old ones off, put the new ones in?
Okay. Switch out.
QR code, the dinosaurs.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's 6 of them. I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
upgrading, I'll have more.
Okay.
Thank you for that additional
So all
information.
6 of them are in all trails. And
Okay.
4 of them have been
Okay.
submitted for their
On the
approval.
website.
Still have to do 2 more.
All right,
Let's
yeah, I
get
can do
it
that.
started. I think we have accomplished our goals tonight, and therefore the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
No discussion allowed, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Standing 8:32, we stand adjourned.
Kinda missed